Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Hey, big news, everybody, big news. Judge Boasberg, the infamous Judge Boasberg, who hates Donald Trump on every level imaginable, he's got a new bestie, apparently. I guess him and Thom Tillis are now besties. They're pushing, J6 and this, that, and other. And clearly, these guys are I think they're besties. I think they just have become buddies. Tillis is blocking Trump's nominee for the U.S. Attorney in D.C., which is really one of the most important posts in the country. And we got all sorts of issues with the DOJ. I mean, Bondi won't do anything, won't prosecute anyone. And we see that she's now, I just posted and brought out and talked with Alex Jones yesterday about the fact that she was formerly fighting for Pfizer. So, I mean, I guess what's the difference? Let's just have the whole DOJ suck, right? I mean, we've got some good people. There are some good people that are at the DOJ doing some things, but at the end of the day, this position, this U.S. District Attorney in D.C. is one of the most critical positions out there. And Thom Tillis blocking this could result in Boasberg deciding who's going to have that job. So, new best friend. We're going to talk about that. There's a bunch of things happening today, folks. There's a bunch of random things. We've got that. I got more on Bondi. She seems to, it's interesting because we've been putting some pressure on her and pushing some stuff and doing some things. Suddenly she seems to have found the Epstein files. I don't know. It's weird. It's like she found them. Well, that's weird in light of the fact that, she said she couldn't figure out where they were in response to the Judicial Watch FOIA, but, whatever. We'll talk about that. A bunch of nonsense going on there. We got some stuff about Biden and so just all sorts of stuff. We're going to get to that. But one of the things I'm really interested to do today is, for a long time, listen, obviously I'm Maha. We're fighting on the health freedom and trying to get word out about the health. We talk about the vaccines. We talk about, the COVID and all this stuff. Maha is crucial. And as I've been looking at the Maha stuff, one of the things that's always perplexed me is the way that certain natural remedies are covered up. Natural remedies have constantly been braided. I mean, they put people in jail that are trying to sell natural remedies. They go after people. It's relentless. Like if you find a cure for cancer and it's not something that involves chemotherapy that's patented by Pfizer or someone of that, they're going to come after you. And it's always been remarkable to me. One of the products out there that's really interesting to me that's been out there forever and people like swear by it is hemp. And hemp is a really interesting one to me because like I get the marijuana with the THCs that, they say, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. But like, I don't really know that there's anything bad with hemp. And I gotta be honest with y'all. I am not an expert on hemp. I don't know that much about it. So we're going to talk to our new friend, Anissa, here today about that. I really want to kind of delve into it. And the reason it's important is because we've got to start looking at these natural cures. And I need to understand, how are these things suppressed? Because, as we're looking at lawsuits and we're looking at litigation, we're looking at what we can do to fight these things. We have to understand the tactics that have been used in the past so we know how to fight them effectively in the future. And I think that particular product is a real case study in some of this. So I'm looking forward to this interview because I want to learn some things, right? And the way that I do this, folks, by the way, is, I'll interview someone or I'll talk to someone, and there's always a starting line. Right. And I know that hemp's been one of those things that's been covered up forever. It's a good product, but you got to start somewhere. So I'll start out and it's like, I'm looking into it and I'll get some stuff. And what that does is that opens the door for where to start my research, right? On the legal side, on the political side, so that we know how to frame the arguments. Once we get that, we can really start making some progress. So this is actually a pretty exciting interview for me. I'm eager to see what they have. And then, like I said, the second half of the show, we're going to get into Boasberg. We're going to get into Bondi and the Epstein files and the Pfizer and all this corruption that's occurring. Because remember, newsflash, Pam Bondi was AG in Florida. You do know that Epstein had the Palm Beach mansion in Florida, right? There were a lot of people that showed up there for parties, weren't there? No one's talking about that. Huh. So we got a lot to talk about today. Before I do, of course, we do need your help and support, as always. Please consider supporting us. Go to givesendgo.com/Renslaw, givesendgo.com/Renslaw. Here you can see it right here. Support us there. Become a monthly donor. We need monthly donors. We need everybody to give $20 a month. Just keep us on air, keep us fighting, we support our affiliates, support our sponsors, but being a direct donor really is a huge help for us. It really allows us to do a lot. That monthly donation, $20 a month is a cup of Starbucks a week. It makes a huge difference. It allows us to plan for what fights we can take and how we're going to take them. So anything you can do, we're appreciative of and we're grateful for. Also, please go to www.thomrenz.com, www.thomrenz.com. Support us there. You go, Kirk Elliott, of course, if you need gold or silver, sat phone to stay connected with everybody anywhere, no matter what, even if the cellular goes down. But also check out Block Trust IRA. These guys have legitimate IRA, so they're governed by the rules and the laws of an IRA based on crypto. They're not meme coin. They're not garbage. Listen, crypto isn't going anywhere. Crypto is going to be a part of our economy for all future time. I like gold and silver. I want to have that. There's questions, but crypto's not going. You might as well add it to your retirement because it's going to add value. You need to have it there. We can argue about it, and we're going to fight CBDCs. We're going to fight against that, but that's not what this is. These are cryptos, and what we want to do is we want to fight the CBDCs, promote the good cryptos, and try and ensure that the government doesn't mess it up. So that's what we're doing. But Block Trust IRA right here, great product line, great people. And then today, please support Dulce sweetener, a monk fruit sweetener, no aspartame, no poison, no cancer, great product. Love these guys. We're honored to be working with them. Make sure you check out Dulce sweetener. Wonderful product. I use it in my coffee. We use it for cooking. It's a great, great thing. So anyways, all right. Without further ado, let's get to the show because we got a lot to cover today. And again, I want to start out and I want to remind you guys, we've seen B17. We've seen what they did with ivermectin and fenben. With regards to, we see what they're doing with that with cancer. We saw what they did with ivermectin HCQ for COVID. We see what the infamous the bad guys, they cover up everything that they can't make money off of. Doesn't matter if it cures you, doesn't matter if it treats you, it doesn't matter what it does for your health. It's always covered up, and they're aggressive. They use lawfare, they use PR campaigns, they use their buddies in the media. There's always a cover-up. One of the products that I think is really interesting, because so many people swear by it, is hemp. And it's not just like, I don't know, silly people who go to Burning Man that like hemp. Hemp has really become a mainstream thing. It's a big thing, but it was covered up forever. So enter my new friend, Anessa. How you doing, Anessa?
Hi, very nice to meet you and meet your audience today.
Well, thank you. And Anessa is, she's in this realm. She's works with hemp, does hemp, sells hemp, and is really kind of an expert on this. And I want to talk to you about this because hemp has been demonized. It's been called terrible for all sorts of reasons. It was basically outlawed forever. And I don't understand why. Hemp itself, now, am I mistaken? Hemp itself doesn't have the THCs that marijuana does it?
Yes, I know. We'll talk about this. You're right. It's been not just demonized, it got even worse. So, what I'll be sharing today, I will ask every single person to understand I do have Lithuanian accent and be patient with me. But what I'm about to share today, it's going to be so eye-opening and something that you never ever heard anywhere on Google, doctor, even a holistic doctor. So it's going to be a very critical session here today because people will be so educated and so empowered. And please fact check everything I say. I did my homework. I traveled the world to know the truth. And I spent thousands of dollars to know the truth. So I'm here to spread the word that is very hard to spread. But at the same time, you're welcome to fact check every single thing I say. And then you're going to realize everything I said today, it's going to be beyond big for every single one of us. So yes, I know you mentioned to me as a hemp expert. I kind of became one only because it wasn't a choice. I had to heal my mom from cancer 8 years ago. And cancer became my mission because I was able to successfully heal my mom with no chemo, no radiation. And I got so excited and said, I know exactly what God wants me to do for the rest of my life. I want to share this knowledge. And I was literally able to heal many, many other people until today, we're healing people in cancer and many other chronic disease. So I became a holistic practitioner, started practicing holistic medicine, but it wasn't enough what I was learning in a naturopath. Why? Because they don't teach you everything you're supposed to really know. They teach you to a certain extent where you still are hooked on supplements forever or certain, you don't understand. Even today, naturopath schools don't teach you that what CBD truly is. And everybody is misguided. So, yeah, I became this expert because I had to heal people, and anything I touch, if it's water, if it's B17, if it's medicine, holistic medicine, even ivermectin itself, let's talk about that, right? It has to be the highest quality. It has to be the right label. It cannot be mislabeled. It has to be where no toxins in it. So I had to investigate everything. Water systems, I had to investigate coffees to know which one has mold, which one doesn't, because most people get cancer or any chronic disease actually comes from mold and parasites. So our coffee, it's funny you said that, saves you $6 a month, $20 a month, poisoning yourself with, people don't say poisoning, but I do because I really wanted to sue Starbucks and I still do. They sell moldy coffee. People literally spend their money every single day to poison themselves with cancer. It's crazy to me because I don't know a single coffee shop in Starbucks. I tested only few, and they had coffee beans, they had mold in it. This is how bad it gets. People literally spend $10, $20 a week or per day to get cancer, which is how bad we are today. So the hemp thing, what happened to me is I didn't know, just like all of us. All what I knew, I have to save these people and I need to have the highest quality. So what I discovered or rediscovered, I'm so sorry, that was the wrong word to use. This is where things gonna change right now. We human beings are designed by God. He gave us the most intelligent, the most important system in a human body that are today still federally illegal to push this topic. In the United States of America, it's called endocannabinoid system. Endocannabinoid system is the one system that regulates everything about your body, about your temple, about your central nervous system. The endocannabinoid system is the only one mechanism in the human body that you turn the switch on or off on basically every other systems out there. I'm talking about microbiome can communicate with each other no matter how many probiotics you take, no matter how many prebiotics you take, until endocannabinoid system is working properly. Your central nervous system depends on endocannabinoid system to signal on the central nervous system and tell the central nervous system what to do. We both know, and everybody knows, the central nervous system is extremely crucial system in a human body. The problem is your doctor, your neurologist, it doesn't even know that your central nervous system depends on endocannabinoid system to be healthy, to be work accordingly in your body. I'm talking about the one mechanism that our medical schools don't even know how to pronounce it. Our doctors has no idea what that truly is. And if you turn that mechanism on that actually supports your immune system, regulates your inflammation, your brain, your everything, that one system regulates everything in almost everything in a human body. If that system works properly, that's given by God, everything else starts working. It's like a one-time shot. Isn't that amazing? So what happened?
Well, this is really interesting to me because I've got to be honest with you. You know, I spend a lot of time studying, yeah, because I have to do as a lawyer, I have to argue these things. I spend a lot of time studying things, but I frankly don't really know anything about and don't really ever, I don't think I've ran across the endocannabinoid system anywhere, on anything. So I'm kind of interested in that. And I want to hear about that because, again, I've never even heard of it. It's an interesting thing, but you know, I'm looking over here because I just did a thing on it, you know, but it's something. I mean, it is for real. It's a for real thing, and just the fact that I haven't heard of it doesn't mean it's not there. I'm not a doctor, but that's a really interesting thing. Um, I want to hear about that, and I want to get into that, but I don't want to jump the gun, though. Let me ask you something really important. Because before we get into this, you're going to talk to me about how important that is to healing. But I want to get into the precursor to that because this is critical. Hemp and anything with the cannabinoids, marijuana, all these different things, is legally blocked forever. I mean, they kept it away in all levels and in all ways. And much like anything that we see that helps with cancer or anything else, I mean, they do the same thing. We know this, right? This is something it's an old school tactic. They've been using it forever. They tell you it's not safe, it's dangerous, just like they told us about HEQ and ivermectin, right? It's horse paste, right? But this is what the bad guys do because they want to control their monopoly and destroy your health. Now, I want to make this very clear to people because hemp was demonized forever because it was made akin to marijuana because of the THC. Now, I want to be real clear. Marijuana has THC, and that's the stuff that makes you high. Now, I don't care if you want to get high. I don't care if you want to do marijuana. I don't really have a big issue with that. What I will tell you, though, is this. The levels of THC in marijuana are typically between 5 and 30%, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, whereas the levels in hemp are typically less, a 0.25%-ish or less by dry weight, which means that the level of THC in hemp is actually too low to make you high. You can't get high from hemp unless maybe someone could somehow, but typically you can't even do that. So the excuse that they were keeping us safe from people being drug-addled, nutbags, it's an outright lie, especially with hemp. That's a really important thing that I want people to understand because it lends credibility to what you're saying, right? So you're going to talk to me about how hemp keeps you healthy and how it can affect these systems. But I want people to understand, because I do a little bit of my own homework, what I look for on this, folks, is, okay, they're covering it up. Why? That's a big deal to me. Because if they're covering it up and they're lying about why, that means that there's another reason. And frequently that reason may be that it's actually a natural cure for something. So before we get any farther, I just want to make sure, and tell me if I got any of this wrong. But basically, hemp doesn't have enough THC to even make you high, even if you wanted to. It's generally an extremely safe product. There's a bazillion positive uses for it. There seems to be a ton of curative things that we're going to go into in just a second. And essentially, to me, this just looks like they covered it up because it's too good for you. Am I wrong?
Yes and no, because even information what's been written on Google or even our old medical books about THC, it's also wrong. Because
Yeah.
when I studied this, I had to go all the way to the roots in China and Russia and find the people that don't even speak the English and their grandparents wrote books or genetically worked on seeds and things like that. So I really had to find this information outside this country and outside the Google search engines.
Yeah.
So with that being said, to the history, it's very simple. We never had a THC in the Mother Nature. That never existed in Mother Nature. THC is 100% engineered plant. We never had a cannabis and hemp. We always had only one plant for entire thousands of years, and that was always hemp. Hemp never had THC, and hemp never have CBD. Until today, hemp doesn't have THC and CBD, but those are 200% reversed, modified cannabinoids that don't exist in Mother Nature. It doesn't matter if it's hemp or doesn't matter if it's THC. It gets deeper and deeper as we're gonna speak. You will see, because what I discovered is when I was going through all these facilities, and if you go on Google right now, Google is gonna tell you CBD itself is actually a drug. As an attorney, and by the way, you got me so excited when you said you're an attorney now. I want to talk to you for an hour. As an attorney, you can patent a Mother Nature. So why the CBD today is patented officially as a drug by Food and Drug Administration? It's called a drug for epidolics because it's not natural. It's never it comes from the nature, but is modified just like every other drug out there. So they're gonna own the patent and they're preparing to control us in masses because of this main switch mechanism I was telling you about earlier on this call today. Because of that, and nobody was supposed to know about this main switch, and nobody's supposed to know we make these CBDA mimicking cannabinoids in our bodies, but we lose them. It's no longer just it's helping us with chronic disease. It's essential to us. We can't live without. Mother's breast milk is not loaded with just colostrum. Mother's breast milk is loaded with these tiny cannabinoids that our body's full of receptors. We know how critical for baby to have the breast milk. But you know what? That breast milk mimics exactly what's in the hemp plant. But when we see the hemp plant, I'm not talking about the hemp plant everybody knows about it. I'm talking about completely different hemp plant. I'm talking about the one that nobody's supposed to know about it. There's multiple hemp plants out there.
Well, let's talk about that. Tell me about it. I want to hear it.
So, for example, as I mentioned, there's two things happen here. First of all, the Rockefellers and all these people who had all this money 100, 200 years ago, they had a way to, control us. And until today, they still do, but their pyramids are collapsing today. I see it every single day how the world's changing. So what's happening here, they said, oh my gosh, if these people will consume the hemp, they're going to empower the main switch mechanism in a human temple that every single one of us entitled to have it by God. We're born with that mechanism. We can't live without. So with that being said, they said, oh, we have to make sure these people never empower this main mechanism, because if they do, they will never get sick, no matter how many drugs we're going to prescribe, no matter how poison the food is going to be. If they're going to keep that endocannabinoid system strong, these people will never become victims of pharmaceuticals. So what they did, they removed all the information. They actually did not allow legally United States to study endocannabinoid system or anything about cannabinoids. America legally started studying these topics only 5-10 years ago. That's it. Because we couldn't legally even look into this topic. They suppressed this topic a long time ago. And in the meanwhile, what they did, they actually re-engineered the plant and they removed the history of the real plant of the real plant, and they brought this completely fake version of the plant that actually doesn't have to do anything to our temples.
This is really interesting to me, and I'm looking over at some stuff right now. I frequently research while I'm doing because there's some interesting things. So tell me what. So you're saying that the natural, the old version of the hemp, the stuff that was pre-engineering, that this was a different version. Now this still exists, I assume, somewhere. And it's probably much like, so I got a great friend of mine. His name is Ed Group. He runs Global Healing, and Global Healing's a supplement company. But one of the things about them is Ed goes to the people who grow the plants, and he makes sure that their fields aren't full of phosphates or glyphosate or whatever. He makes sure that the plants aren't genetically engineered. He makes sure that all of his sourcing is done, that his water is good, and all these different things. And that's why he makes one of the best products on the market. But you have to go back to the beginning, because it's crap in, crap out. You put in a crappy plant to make a good product, you're going to get a crappy product. And so the same sort of thing that you're talking about. If you've got the good product, the natural, non-engineered hemp that you're using to do whatever, that it's going to have something that's different about it that makes it work. So tell me about that. What is the difference? Where do you find this? How do you get this? I mean, tell me about this product. By the way, everybody, I'm not selling this product right this minute. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to study this with you all so that you all can see this, because this is what happens, right? So this is how we learn about this. So tell me a little bit about this. Tell me why it is the what's, the why's, the where's, the how's. Tell me about that, because I want to understand what they did to screw with this specifically, and how it's how you found solutions to deal with that, and just fill me in.
So for thousands of years, that's even written in the Bible, and we used canna. So would be like as cannabis, right? And the word cannabis, that kind of resonates. It's similar it sounds similar. So the original hemp plant never had the high levels of THC. Those high levels of THC is 100% engineered. They're genetically made in laboratories, and they keep breeding those seeds and breeding and breeding and breeding and keep increasing, as you said, anywhere from 5 to 50% of THC. People going high, they're losing their brains, and it's just absolutely horrible in my opinion. Yes, there's people who need that high THC. If you're on the opioids and you need to avoid that for 3 months because you're in stage 5 cancer or something like that, I get it. But the way our children is using is absolutely how they want it. We created Dumb and Dumber, and thousands of followers around the country. How are we going to pay taxes and listen all the nonsense they tell us on the news? So that's how we're creating our new generation with this fake re-engineered cannabis plant. The real plant that empowers human endocannabinoid system. In fact, your body can't even function without that system. It's called CBDA, CBGA, THCA. THCA is and you take the plant, when you study the plant structure, in the biological structure, whatever the chemistry, I'm so sorry, talking about my patients now, the chemistry, what happens is there is no CBD in the plant. There's no THC in a plant. What they do, they take this plant that a lot of times is full of toxins. We'll talk about soil in a minute. I actually was just in Global Healing a month ago, and I met him personally. He actually used our products too. With that being said, your friend Ed, and so soil, it's a big deal, but also what happens is the plant cannot be changed, the structure. So what they did, they took CBDA from original plant, they converted into CBD and THC, and introduced the world of something that they already have patents on. They control it, they own it. They're not pushing strong enough today because people like myself who speak and educating, and I really hope I can change the law here as soon as possible with incredible team that we have right now in the White House. So I really
Well, we
want.
might be able to, right? So, I mean, and just so that you know, I mean, because that's why I do a little bit of that work, right? And I will tell you, just so that everybody knows. So I have because I'm a super big shot lawyer, maybe not, but I do have access to legal research tools that you can't normally find, and I double checked, and so basically, I want to confirm what you said, Anessa. I did do some homework, and the endocannabinoid system was not studied. That's true. What she's saying is accurate, right? So, and I double check these things, right? Because sometimes people tell me something. If I don't know it, I like to double check to make sure that if you're listening, you're getting a real story. Um, the endocannabinoid system wasn't explicitly banned. It wasn't that you couldn't study, but to study it, you have to have access to cannabis and certain other things. And what they did was they indirectly banned it. And they do this frequently. It was banned essentially because you couldn't get access to any of the materials that you needed to study it. And when you're talking about the different THCs or CBDs, you're right. What they did was they made it so you couldn't get access to any of the stuff that you might need, whether it's CBDA or CBD. You couldn't get access to it to study it. So what you're saying is actually, I mean, I haven't done a deep dive or anything here, but it's 100% accurate. And what they did was, this comes from the law, the Controlled Substances Act in 1970, and they made anything with THC potentially in or around it of any type, whether it's THCA or just THC, they made it a class 1, right? Because they said it has no medical value, which is an outright lie. We know that's an outright lie, and a high potential for abuse, which again, I mean, it's got potential for abuse, but frankly, there's a ton of substances that are completely legal that are far more addictive. I mean, nicotine is more addictive. Nicotine, by the way, doesn't cause cancer. I did homework on this too. Ask Brian Artis; he's right about this. But there's a lot of substances out there that are more addictive, but they don't ban them. Why is that? Well, because there's always an alternative motive, and that's what's going on here. So, I wanted to let everybody know you're actually absolutely dead right on all this. So, I mean, I'm very impressed at this. Because this is something to dig this all out.
Nobody talks about it, and they don't want anybody to know about this, because if we empower these endocannabinoid systems today in our country, our pharmaceuticals would drop about 30 to 40% of their revenue in 3 months. If every single person today been to empower their God's given, by the way, God's given endocannabinoid system that regulates almost every aspect for your well-being, for your protect you, to help you, to heal you, or to prevent you. Our country would, in our country, our pharmaceuticals would lose about 30 to 40% of income in 3 months. This is how powerful information I'm talking about. And the reason what's happening right now is they don't want you to know about it because pharmaceuticals or Food and Drug Administration patented CBD as a drug. So they allowed these CBD marketers or little companies to be out there and spread the word. Take this for pain, take this for anxiety. Of course, works for anxiety because it controls your actual inflammation. It kicks in all your receptors to protect you from not getting anxiety. That protects you from not just anxiety. Is about 3,000 to 5,000 healing benefits in it. It's almost for everything under the sun. I'm talking about, I don't want to make claims, but I did an interview with Mike Adams a year ago.
Yeah.
And one of his, and I work with cancer patients myself every single day, very long hours from early morning until night. We actually turning ourselves into clinical trials right now. I'm meeting Northwestern team this week. What I'm trying to say here is, even what happened when somebody's so deficient in that endocannabinoid system, I seen tumors start shrinking. Lifetime health problems goes away. I went on that interview with Mike Adams a year ago, and one of his customers who purchased the product, he had the mouth cancer, and he had the tumor, he said, was growing so big he barely could speak in his mouth, on his tongue. After 9 days, it disappeared 90%. 9 days. The whole tumor was almost gone. Do you really think the product itself just targeted tumor? No, what it did, empowered the main switch, the main temple switch says work. And when it says work, it says central nervous system work, immunity work, inflammation responses work, microbiome starts working. You turn the light on the city from the dark to the light, and all the lights turn on. I'm not talking about just, it helps. That's why I get so upset when we still seeing it helps you with anxiety, helps you with inflammation, helps you with the prostate, helps you with this hair growth, skin. No, it's your main mechanism. You can't, it's just like water. If you don't drink water for 2 months or for 2 years, you're gonna be dying. That's what it is. And today we are still not allowed to speak about this the way I wanted to. Today our doctors don't know what endocannabinoid system, and they pretend to heal patients from what? These people are dying today because of that. We don't have, if our doctors today in the offices start empowering all the endocannabinoid system, not even CBD drug, but the CBDA, the one that mimics in the human body, the one that your body makes and my body makes from the moment we are born. With that specific compound, when you empower that human body, starts healing, protecting, preventing. What happened on COVID? This is why they really realized they got messed up on COVID. Before they rolled COVID vaccines, it's a research came out in Oregon University about 4 or 5 years ago, and it said CBDA and CBGA protects you from getting COVID. A spike protein cannot enter your body. I'm talking about if we finally took this information to serious next level, which is that day we became pretty famous. I had every news channel calling to me, High Times, NBC, and like every top media tier, because nobody talked about CBD that day. Not single one company understood exactly what's going on. So what happened is to say why this research came out right now in Oregon University, exactly actually where our plants grown, and they said now they think CBDA and the CBGA has been shown prevent you from getting COVID. That means we don't need to have a vaccines. All what we do, empower endocannabinoid system that blocks receptors that we receive the spike protein so we don't get infection in our bodies. You see, it wasn't just to empower and protect you from inflammation and cancer and all those things. This endocannabinoid system actually worked to even protect you from COVID. We never had to have the vaccine in the first place, but they suppressed this information. All my interviews that were actually done live or not live, but videotaped on the mainstream media. What happened with those interviews, they edited and they put one of my worst pictures ever, and they actually put completely different content that I wasn't really speaking about, and they really never resonate the message I was truly sharing on the camera. And 2 weeks later, all of the sudden, we have all these companies companies around America start doing CBDA products. My dear friend, it takes 2 years just to prepare the soil. There's no way in the world you can have a happy, healthy plants just in 2 weeks. It doesn't work. This is not your manufacturer magic stick. It's a process to get these plants soil healthy, plants healthy. Extractions need to be hand harvested. None of these machinery is needed, and chemicals and solvents. And so this is not just our pandemic that we just had could be just stopped if they allowed my videos to go viral and not edit them, and we would never supposed to have a single vaccine in this country. But what we did right after that video, 4 months later, everybody got vaccinated. Today we have a disaster.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm grinning because if I had a nickel for every time I was taken out of context or they tried to make me look bad, I'd be rich. But yeah, this is what they do, right? They don't want truth out there. And let me confirm another thing, right? So just so that you all know, because Ines is making some pretty big claims here. I mean, there's some crazy stuff here, but it's 100% accurate, right? So I got my I also have my tools that I use for medical research for my cases and this, that, and other. And CBDA is, in fact, a precursor to CBD. I mean, the CBD isn't natural in the plant. CBD is, you got to harvest it. And after you remove the A, the CBDA is cannabidolic acid, whereas CBD is cannabidiol. Deal. And the acid is a precursor. That's what's found in natural raw plants. And it's interesting because what you're saying is very accurate. There is fair bit of study out there from what I'm seeing on CBD, but CBDA is very unstudied. Now, despite that, there is some research that I'm finding. And like I said, doing this real time for y'all folks, there's some research I'm finding that does suggest that it has CBDA has anti-proliferation properties, which means anti-cancer properties. Does that mean it stops cancer or shuts it down? No, not for sure. We don't know what it means for sure, but we know that it's interesting, and that it's confirming what you're saying again. So what I'm doing is I'm spot checking as we're going through, because you make it, these are big claims, but I haven't found anything you're saying that's anything but accurate. So I mean, that's a big deal, because listen, I mean, yeah, I don't bring people on. I don't try and like undermine them or anything. But if I find someone, spewing some BS, I'm going to let everybody know. But everything that you're saying is checking out as I'm spot checking it. And that's really a big deal. And it tells me that I need to do some homework myself, because, this is, especially when we start looking about the CBDA and its anti-proliferative properties. Right. It's really a big deal. And they're talking about it possibly inhibiting COX-2 enzymes, or and also the serotonin receptors, which is a big deal because they all love poisoning us with our with their antidepressants. I mean, but this is CBDA, which is substantially different than CBD, because once it's processed, it acts different. So that's a real big deal. So again, everything you're saying is checking out 100%. It's very interesting to me, and it looks like you're onto a lot of stuff, which is, But this is what we found. So this I found over and over again. And I wasn't red pilled until COVID. COVID was where I got red pilled, and but prior to that, I thought vaccines were safe. I was wrong, but I was, So now what I found over and over since then is every time I dig into these things, and it's always, you got to find the persistent rumors, is the way I describe it. The things that people are like, they're willing to die on the hill saying, no, this is the way that it is. And they keep going, and years and years and years, no matter how much the government and pharma tries to squash the rumors, it keeps going. Those are the ones that you got to research. And like I said, hemp and the CBD, THC stuff, which I'm now seeing, are different. The CBDA is different. These are things that you have to look at. And man, this is a really interesting thing to me. So you've got something that is having, and according to just quick overview, I can't read all the articles, but the quick overviews I'm seeing, you've got a ton of uses for this natural CBDA. It's a little bit, it's understudied. It's not as available in commercial products. There's just not as much out there, but it's It's legit. It's legit. So, um, it looks like you're on to something. I mean, this is really interesting. You've gotten a lot of blowback for this, I'd imagine, and you're picking up some steam. How's that all going?
I have to be very careful, but I am not selling my soul, so I I've been offered to do all kinds of things because of that. So no, I am looking forward to change the laws and bring this in mainstream. And the reason they don't want this, because as you just said, CBDA is found in a plant. That means we can patent, we can control it, we can own it. We just need to legally give to people in the grocery stores. And if you're gonna do that, that means 90% of Americans that gonna take and empower the endocannabinoid system, they'll no longer will need any kind of type of medications. I'm talking about it's going to change. The whole shift of pharmaceuticals will change. So yes, it's a big deal. It's America's economy. I'm talking about it's beyond 9/11 actually. This is like very, very big. I don't think people still realizing. I'm talking about this is a CBDA. And THCA, by the way, doesn't make you high. THC does. THCA, the one's natural found in the plant, does not make you high. I work with UFC athletes, and they are actually getting tested twice, 3 times a month for all kinds of stuff. And they're taking my product that has THCA, not THC, and they're not tested positive for anything. I'm not
Well,
making.
let me tell you why. Let me tell you why, because I pulled this up too. Uh, THCA doesn't make you high.
Yes.
THCA doesn't do this. So what what Anessa is saying, 100% accurate. And I got to be honest, I'm kind of flummoxed by this. So THCA, the natural cannabinoid found in cannabis and hemp and these sorts does not make you high. It doesn't bond properly. So it's only through processing that they make it. So everything you're saying about the cover up checks out. I'll tell you what, Anessa, I'm going to do some homework on this. And, the process is big, it's complicated, it's expensive. But, we can probably talk about getting some people involved. It's interesting to look at this because it's one thing to ban THC, but THCA is another thing entirely. And in light of the fact that everything here is actually not true, there might be some work that we can do on this to do something about it legally, because it's really shocking to me to see how this is done. THCA is it's just a different animal.
Yes.
And I don't have all the details. I'm literally looking live, but this is a crazy thing for me to see. Literally, THCA is non-psychoactive. It's not. It doesn't screw with your head. It's got all sorts of potential health benefits.
Nope.
But doesn't mess with your head. It's not going to make you, high or messed up. It just the health benefits without the poison. And it's interesting that they would intentionally harvest this in a way that would make it so it's something that messes you up. The only reason for that is if they were looking for a reason to ban it. There's no good reason to do that. So that's a really big deal. I never thought that I would. I've just never looked at this. So
there is a reason, because what happens, research already saying that actually when you use cannabis and very high levels of THC, you truly lose all kinds of basically mechanisms in your body, including your mind is no longer can make a decisions in life. You become what you call follower. And there's a studies coming out, people are greatly affected by THC. Their brains are no longer functioning to the level that someone who doesn't take THC, versus THCA that is not patented, that is not owned by anybody, is actually extremely healthy for you. And the one that is actually reverse engineered, created by these monsters out there, excuse my language, because it really gets me going once in a while. So they push this narrative and say, take your holistic plant. You want this holistic medicine. No, you didn't give us that holistic plant. You gave us a fake holistic plant that you re-engineered again. You introduced the world, and now you want to control CBD. It's just, I can go on and on. What we just covered today in those few minutes, it's very basic. It gets deeper and deeper.
I see that.
It's just absolutely, it is extremely, if we can legalize a CBDA and THCA, just the raw plants, the way are meant to be in our bodies, I'm telling you, I don't know where our country would be right now. It would change the whole everything narrative, the way people show up at work, the way a husband divorce rate would drop. I have a way of proving that. I'm talking about the economy would increase in people productivity, because people would start think differently. Increases your IQ levels. I'm talking about this is it gets
I
deeper.
need that. No. All right. Anessa, listen, we've got to run. We got a few other things that we got to hit today, but I got to tell you, I'm really impressed with you. This is really, it's quite a thing, and maybe you and I should have a conversation with that group and some others, and maybe Mike Adams, and maybe a few others. Maybe we kind of look into this a little bit, because there's some interesting legal opportunities on this. It really is shocking to me to see. It shouldn't be. I mean, this is what they do. They find healthy things. They find a reason to outlaw it, and then but it's all corruption. It's crazy to me because, I mean, literally, that just, it's non-psychoactive. It doesn't bind with the receptors in the brain to make you high, unless you use the processed crap. So you've got something with a potential massive, I mean, anti-inflammatory, neuroprotective, non-proliferative, cancer inhibitor, all these different things. This could potentially, together, this could really have. It'd be interesting to see what kind of an impact this would have on cancer if it was properly studied. And this also explains one of the things that as I've studied the cancer stuff, I've been trying to figure out why it is that so many people are so into the cannabis type stuff related to cancer, and I couldn't figure out what it was, but this explains it. Some of these they're getting the right THCAs or CBDAs in there, and it's having an impact. That there's a basis for it, so it's worth looking into, and I really appreciate it. Where can people find you and support you?
Nessashemp.com, NESAS, which is nessashemp.com. And also, the last thing I want to mention, our company is the only one company in the world who's testing our products in parts per billion. And we test for everything also. We test from microtoxins, metals, herbicides, pesticides. We're testing for microbials, molds, solvents. I mean, everything. We have pages and pages on testing on each bottle that goes to customers' hands. With that being said, when you purchase our products, you have a right to know what's in your bottle. So you go and you type in your batch log number on our website, and we just give you reports what's in your bottle. We're truly the only one company. We not just say who we are, we prove you who you are. So if somebody purchased the bottle, you're welcome to know what's in your bottle. It's by FDA registered laboratories, strict laboratories. These products are tested not in some basement somewhere else who can make the stuff up. So yes, clean.
Let's do this, and I'm going to ask producer Andrea if she can catch up with you off air. I'd like to set up a meeting and talk to you a little bit about this, because it's an interesting thing, and I got to be honest with you, I'm very, very, very interested in this. So, producer Andrea, if you could get with Anessa off air, let's set a time in the next week or so if you're interested in Anessa, and we can see about what we can do with some of your stuff, because this is. I've seen this before. This is a really interesting thing. So let's see what we can do about getting you some publicity and making sure people know about this and keeping people healthy. I think that's a big deal. So thank you, Anessa, for your time. We'll talk again very soon. And God bless you for your work. That's awesome.
Thank you. God bless you. And I appreciate you so much.
Happy to have you. We'll talk soon. All right. Everybody, I got to be honest with you. Every now and then I meet people or run into people and they just shock me. I got to be honest with you. I have not, much like COVID, much like, vaccines, much like everything. I always go into things skeptical, and I just, every now and then you find things that are crazy. This is pretty crazy to me. This is the first time I've had anyone that could explain to me why it is. Yeah, because everybody tells me, oh, cannabis is great. It's great. It's got all these health benefits. Okay, well, why? and this is the first time I've actually been able to verify, and I verified it live in real time, that there's actually some interesting and very positive uses for this. So it's a big deal. We're going to look into this and see what we can't do with it. I think that's a very interesting thing to me. So I want to move into some other things because we got some other big stories, and I actually spent more time on that than I expected. But it's because it's a profound thing. Judge Boasberg, everybody loves Judge Boasberg, right? He's our favorite guy, favorite judge, right? He hates Trump. He's doing everything he can to stomp the MAGA agenda. Well, Judge Boasberg could potentially be appointing the U.S. District Attorney for Washington, D.C., which is really one of the most powerful positions in the country. If Thom Tillis can't quit being a liberal piece of crap. But he's a rhino. He's a sellout. That's what's going on. So here's what's going on. President Trump put this guy's name's Ed Martin in, and Ed Martin, based on everything I've been able to find, and we've had some indirect interactions, he's a lion. He's ready to go after some bad guys, and he's going, and he looks like he would be a great position here. Well, he's got to get out of the Judiciary Committee, and right now, there's a Republican that's holding out. That's Thom Tillis, and if he holds out, Martin can't get anywhere, right? He can't. That would tank Trump's nomination. Now, this is a huge deal because Martin's a good guy. Now, mind you, nobody had problems with Pam Bondi, who worked for Pfizer. Nobody had any issue with that. Thom Tillis, who loves Pfizer, who is the biggest big pharma sellout in Congress. He's just the biggest rhino sellout, right next to Mitch McConnell, maybe. But Tillis he tried to torpedo Bobby. Now he's trying to torpedo Ed Martin. This guy is a real piece of work, right? He won his last couple elections by like 2%. He's just, from beginning to end, just a piece of work. So he's now he's mad at Ed Martin because Ed Martin he's being honest, right? Ed Martin's looking at J6 for what it was, which was a Democrat-inspired coup against Trump and against America. J6 was never a spontaneous mega uprising insurrection. It was an insurrection by the FBI and the Biden administration against the American people is what it was. The Democrat Party, we presented the evidence. If you look back to my Twitter feed around election time, I put out a video on it. We put out a bunch of stuff. Listen, there is no question what this was, right? So, but Thom Tillis, he's a Democrat in Republican clothing. And so he's all in for stopping this. He doesn't want anybody to know the truth. And he says, quote, "I have no tolerance for anyone who entered the building on J6. That's probably where most of the friction was. At this point, I've indicated to the White House I won't support this nomination." So Tillis is trying to strong arm Martin just like he tried to strong arm Bobby, which is a load of crap. Tillis is just, like I said, this guy's an absolute sellout. So anyways, basically, we're at a point now where two things are happening. If Tillis doesn't support Martin, he can't get out of there, right? There's no way he can get through there. He is the Republican that has to support this. So this is a huge deal because that would shut this down. Now, let me bring this up for you, right? This is yours truly. So here's the law on this, right? It's 28 U.S.C. 546. Now, everybody's saying that Boasberg just gets to pick the guy. That's not exactly right. Let me explain to you how this works. Under the law, you start out, and the AG can appoint, an interim while we're trying to get Trump's person in there. The interim can be there for 120 days, give or take, depending on some things. And then after that, if there's still nobody there, the local district court can appoint someone to be there temporarily until Trump gets the right person through. So essentially, Boasberg would then get to appoint someone, and that person would be in charge of the most important DA position in the country. For all we know, Boasberg will appoint, you can bank on the fact he'll appoint some leftist who will do everything they can to undermine the DOJ everywhere. Now, I don't know, this is appalling to me. This is appalling. Thom Tillis needs to be thrown out of Congress. No matter what happens, he needs to be primaried and thrown out of Congress. But at this point, we need to continue to speak up, continue to be pushing this, because this guy's got to know exactly how pissed off the mega base is over this. This is a huge, huge deal. In light of the fact that we can't get Pam Bondi to do anything, we need to have at least someone in there that's going to fight. So getting Martin in there would be a huge win, because the guy seems like a warrior. He seems ready to go on some stuff. I know he's looking at some key cases and some key things, because, well, I know this. And so this is a very big deal, right? This is a very big deal. So we got to do something with this, and it's phenomenal. Now, at the same time, we've been kind of pushing Bondi. And yesterday I went on Alex Jones and hit a bunch of different things. And I put out there that Bondi was working for Pfizer. I put out that there's a bunch of things happening. And we've been pretty viral on some of this. We've tagged Trump on a few things specifically. And I did it intentionally because I want everybody to know I've had enough of this. The Epstein list not being nothing. She's not doing anything anywhere. So now I'm not going to take credit for this, because I'm not the only one mad at Bondi for doing nothing. I've had a lot of other people that are supporting us in this work and who are doing it themselves. But let me show you this. This happened yesterday, because remember, now Bondi told Thom Fitton and Judicial Watch that she doesn't have anything to share in the Epstein files. They seem to be, and we're hearing, well, they may be gone, they may be disappeared. Let me play you this.
No, the FBI, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
Okay, that's Pam saying in response to the statement that the Epstein stuff was deleted or gone. It's interesting. She's saying she's got it. Well, let's see something with it, Pam. Why have there been no prosecutions? Why is that blackmail ring still up and running? We're not done. We're not done. If Bondi can't get something done for this country other than arresting Tesla vandals and gangbangers, we got a problem. We need action. We need serious action by real people. Now, this is a very big deal. We've got to get things moving. But this is the first time Bondi's mentioned anything to do with Epstein files in quite some time. We're not letting this go, folks. I don't care if I'm the last guy in the country fighting this. She's not prosecuting Pfizer for crimes against humanity because she worked for them. The more I'm finding out about Bondi, the less I'm trusting her. Now, I'm hoping I'm wrong. But at this point, I'm tired of promises. We need to see action. We're not seeing it. Pfizer Pam needs to get her butt moving. Why is she opposing Brooke Jackson's case against Pfizer for fraud? What, you don't think they committed it? Or is it just the fact that the DOJ's head, the AG, Pam Bondi, worked for Pfizer right before working at as an AG? This reeks, folks. This reeks. This Epstein stuff, this other stuff. Listen, she wants to fight. We'll fight. I don't want to hear about her being a bulldog. I want to see action. I want her to prove me wrong. I want her to prove that she's the hero we hope she is. It ain't going to happen on Fox News telling me about a damn vandal getting sentenced to jail. We're throwing the book at this vandal. I don't give a damn. I want to know what you're doing about Pfizer. I want to know what you're doing against about the crimes against humanity. Is Anthony Fauci in jail? How about Ralph Barrick and for his contributions, and EcoHealth Alliance for their contributions to the creation of COVID? What are you doing there? Are you investigating that? How about the 300,000 missing kids? Where are they at? How about, again, obviously Epstein, where are these guys at? I want to see real people. How about J6? Where are you at on J6? Where are the Democrats who are involved in it? Adam Schiff, do you know how many things that he's done that are questionable? We need real action. We, the people, are sick of this BS. Oh, there's not time. We haven't got that far. Bull crap. You got a job to do. Get it done. You got time to be on Fox News every day. You got time to review some damn tapes and put someone in jail. This is nonsense, folks. This is nonsense. I'm glad to see her mentioning the Epstein file. At least it looks like there might be something. We'll have to see what kind of a whitewash comes from it. But I'm going to tell you, this has been enough. It's time for us to start pushing. We're going to start talking more about this. Lots more. I wish we had more time. There's lots to say today, but we unfortunately are up against the break. Thank you guys.